Hello and welcome to the Speedrunner's Path, the show where I show you the fastest way to get through your favorite video games. In this episode, I'll be covering GTA 5's Trevor Percent Speedrun, but first I'd like to give credit where it is due. First, I'd like to thank the runner SoBad256 who performed the run you are about to see. Second, I'd like to thank Daddler, Alex Honix, and Stormraid, as their explanations are where I got most of my information. And finally, I'd like to thank Anthonio for looking over my script to make sure I didn't say something stupid. Do note, this is an M-rated game with strong language, strong gestures, blood, and intense violence. Viewer discretion is advised. With all of that out of the way, let's start. In this prologue mission, cutscenes are unskippable, so as soon as the first one ends, the runner spams the take cover button to quickly activate the next part faster than just running into the next room as Michael. Once they regain control, they aim at the middle hostage, switching to the front hostage, then the back hostage when the character says a specific voice line. The runner then enters first-person mode and spams the phone button to instantly trigger the next checkpoint. Staying in first-person mode, they run and jump to the vault, jumping at the end to activate the next part as quickly as possible. Once regaining control, they jump to go faster than normal in this section, activating the next checkpoint at the door. Spamming the character swap button, they then take out the guard with Trevor, making sure not to go too fast to avoid a bug. Following the other two characters, the runner grabs the guard's pistol, which will be important later, and jumps repeatedly and takes cover to activate the next scripted sequence. They jump out of cover in front of Michael, pushing them forward and skipping some dialogue. The runner then takes out the police in a certain way to avoid damage and save time. They then run forward while spamming the weapon wheel button, which they are able to do thanks to the pistol they picked up earlier, which is faster than regular running by a little bit, before entering the getaway car. After gaining control, the runner drives most of the way to their destination before getting out and damaging the car enough for it to start leaking gas and locking their FPS to 30. I will explain why in a moment. The runner drives forward and gets out at a specific location, shooting the now spilling gas and getting back in at the location shown, failing the mission on purpose. After spamming the retry button, the runner is in the next scene, pressing backwards and right to end the mission as soon as possible. The reason the runner gets back in and destroys the car at that location is to activate the next checkpoint in the mission, thus skipping a cutscene that would otherwise be unskippable, thus finishing the prologue mission. From this mission, Franklin and Lamar forward, all cutscenes are skippable, but I won't be calling them out. Basically, anytime it briefly fades to black, the runner skipped a cutscene. Taking control, they run Franklin to the nearby car. The runner turns left into the normally oncoming traffic, which they despawn by looking downwards. Turning right, they cut off as much of the road as possible while getting in front of the white car controlled by Lamar, which, because he is behind you, he'd be forced to drive faster than normal to save time. They carefully balance on the front of their car to be pushed by Lamar's faster speed. The runner uses Franklin's special ability to control the car over the hill, braking at certain spots in the road, causing the car to go faster due to a quirk in the game's physics. This is known as a brake boost and uses extensively throughout the run with all the characters, but is more powerful with Franklin's power. The runner uses a specific route to get to the next part of the mission as quickly as possible, while rubber banding Lamar to go faster, using brake boosts and Franklin's power at specific times for the fastest possible finish. Exiting the car park, they turn left and go to a specific spot to get out of and back into the car. This allows them to go to the next part of the mission without having to worry about the police, by making the car harder to spot. When getting out of the car, they spam the character swap button to prevent some dialogue from playing, while exiting the building, causing the next part to play as quickly as possible. After gaining control, they get into their call and call the emergency services to prevent more dialogue from playing. They drive over to the garage shown to end the mission. Running out of the house, the runner goes to a specific part of the garage door while spamming the Get Into a Vehicle button. The game, using a failsafe, teleports the runner into the car, saving some time where they then drive back to where they just came from. They then pause and go into a mission replay, then cancel it. I will explain why later. Going into the mission Repossession, The runner runs deliberately wide of the car they want to take, so they trigger Lamar to run to them. Driving over to the next part of the mission, taking this jump to avoid extra driving, and using the scroll wheel up to bring the game back to normal speed as quickly as possible. Arriving at the yellow dot, the runner backs the car into the fence, which will allow it to appear at the end of the mission. After jumping the fence, the runner switches into first-person mode, spamming W and Shift, allowing them to launch Lamar forward faster than he would otherwise go, and punching him to avoid some dialogue. They then jump ahead to the garage that activates the next part of the mission. Once regaining control, the runner shoots one person on the right and then vaults over this small wall, spawning in all of the enemies at once. After taking out the rest of the enemies, the runner takes this specific path, which allows them to intercept the enemy that has the bike for the next part of the mission. Taking them out at a specific time, it allows the runner to get on the bike with as little delay as possible. They then take the bike roughly back the way they came, wheeling as much as possible to go faster, and taking this jump to avoid more driving than necessary, jumping off when they reach the mission marker to avoid some dialogue, thus ending this mission. Getting into the car from earlier, the runner drives around the corner while cutting through the grass, using Franklin's power to avoid some dialogue and crashing into this pole to stop as fast as possible, entering the mission pulling favors. They drive over to the tow truck using Franklin's power every few seconds to avoid some dialogue, making sure to park both passenger sides as close as possible for Tanya. Lowering the hook as they get in, they then drive over to the next part of the mission, which, because of the dialogue that was avoided on the drive over, the car necessary for this mission spawns as fast as possible. The runner goes over the curb multiple times. This is due to a quirk in the game's physics that compressing the suspension of a car speeds it up, which is known as curb boosting. Also, using the handbrake as the truck goes into second gear, which gives it a burst of speed. This is known as a mid-drive speed boost. Both of these techniques are used throughout their run. Driving past and hooking on, the runner pulls up the hook to go faster and goes back the way they came. Once they get back to the lot, they drop the car off the hook early and turn left to the end of the mission to skip Tanya's dialogue and minimize distance to their car respectively, thus ending this mission. Driving back to Franklin's house, the runner gains as much speed as possible to get some air, entering the mission shop at top speed. After taking cover twice to get out of the scripted walking sequence, the runner switches into first person, pushing this shopping cart to the passenger door of the van. This prevents Lamar getting in normally, thus teleporting him in. They then back up and do a J-turn off the nearby tree to turn themselves forward, driving to the next checkpoint using various driving techniques. Running back to the van, the runner then drives to the next street over and calls a cab. After turning left twice and going past the crosswalk, the runner gets out of the van and runs to where the guy on the bike is going to be, starting the next part of the mission much earlier than normal. Following the guy, they vault over the fence, but instead of following them, they run around this building, vault over this train linkage, and run alongside this train to start the next part of the mission faster than normal. As soon as they regain control, the runner looks for when the dog starts to sniff and pushes him forward a few times before taking out a dog in the distance to avoid having to wait. They get in front of the train car that will progress the mission, spamming the button to open the train car, then taking cover at this train car and pulling up their phone. I will explain why the runner does this in a moment. They then run over here to continue the mission. The runner then drives to this parking lot, which, despite what the initial mission marker says, is the real end to this mission. Driving back over to the car dealership, they crash to stop as quickly as possible, and then take cover on the van and exit it. Franklin is then warped to where the runner pulled up the phone in the previous mission, and because the mission is in the way, it has priority, starting the mission complications faster than just running in. This is known as a buffered ledge grab, where they take cover at one location, pull up the phone, move to another location, and exit cover. They teleport to the first location where they took cover. They drive over to the next checkpoint using Franklin's power and brake boost to get there as fast as possible. Crashing into the front gate, they then vault over this part of the wall, run over to this truck, and then vault twice to get into the house. The runner then runs through the house in stealth mode, jumping to get into the garage and getting into the car, spamming the same button to get back out again, as that triggers Michael to say his dialogue faster than normal. They drive back to the dealership, making sure to stop directly on the mission marker to stay close to it. The runner then beats up the dealer, thus ending this mission. Immediately after regaining control, the runner pauses and then loads the autosave that was made upon passing the mission, but because of the setup they did going onto the mission Repossession, they don't have to hold a character swap button. This teleports them back to Michael's house. This is known as a replay warp and will be used in a different form later in the run. Entering the mission father-son, they head around the side of the house. The runner opens the passenger side for Franklin. After driving over to the highway, they turn in as close as they can to the truck to trigger Franklin's sequence as soon as they get there. They deliberately slow down to allow time of the animation to play, speeding up to continue once the animation has finished. Once Franklin is on the boat, the runner deliberately goes slowly to prevent the truck going too far up the highway, taking out the guys on the boat to not fail the mission. As soon as the mast swings out, the runner then accelerates to catch Michael's son. Then, when they hear Franklin say he wants off, the runner accelerates and takes the convenient highway exit, which if they had gone too fast, they would have blown right by. They then go underneath the overpass to this street where the mission continues at this mechanic, entering the mission marker at a specific time to avoid some dialogue. After using the quick swap weapon wheel to skip an animation and fixing the car, the runner drives back to Michael's house, thus ending this mission by crashing to avoid some dialogue. Running over to this wall, they get into cover and pull up the phone, calling Michael to prevent his gate from closing and getting into the car. Driving to this point, closing the phone, and exiting cover to do another buffered ledge grab as explained earlier to teleport back into the next mission, marriage counseling. The runner turns right, cuts through the grass, and follows the road before driving up this hill and over the short fence to hit the yellow dot. They spam the take cover button to get in his back as quickly as possible to the truck, driving forward to continue the mission. After the house comes down, the runner pulls up their phone and drives over the small fence back down the hill the way they came up. Driving back the way they came, while it is not visible, the runner holds the look back button and faces the camera forward to prevent some enemies from spawning, simply driving into the mission marker to end this mission. After this phone call, which locks Michael into a slow walk, the runner grabs a bike from the street, jumping over the railing down to the highway, driving over to the next mission while using the phone to get texts that are used by the game later. They also start a mission replay and then cancel it on this drive. I will explain why later. Entering the mission friend request, they jump and bring up the phone to start the next part instantly. After exiting the house and jumping on the bike, the runner goes back down the highway, taking this gap to have a straight shot to the next checkpoint. They make a call when entering the store to start the next part earlier than normal. Buying the clothes necessary to progress, they then take cover on the display to avoid having to walk and get back on the bike, driving to the yellow dot. Switching into first person here to keep lines as tight as possible, they then go over to this computer, close the ads, and run the antivirus. The runner goes into this room for their next objective, then going back the way they came. Driving to Michael's house, they quickly pull up and put away the phone for more text management necessary for progression. After arriving, they watch this unskippable newscast, placing a call at the right time to end the mission. After standing up, the runner finally receives the tutorial from the game as to how safe houses work, which teleports them outside. When they warped here earlier, it allowed them to skip the normal trigger for this tutorial, allowing them to run directly into the mission Daddy's Little Girl after hanging up the phone call. Once regaining control, the runner goes past the car and gets into the passenger side to allow Michael's son to get in as fast as possible, simply driving over to the yellow dot. Grabbing this BMX bike, the runner then spams jump and leans forward, allowing them to go faster than any other method, arriving at the pier to continue the mission. Diving into the water, the runner looks left for a few seconds to encourage a boat spawn, which of course they get, borrowing it to get to the yacht faster than swimming. The runner slows down and takes out the 2 people on the jet skis, then goes to the mission marker and makes a phone call to avoid some dialogue, thus ending this mission. After gaining control, the runner locks their game to a very low FPS, and when attempting to switch to another character with a certain timing, they teleport to Michael's house. This is known as a switch warp. The runner goes upstairs and puts on a suit which is required for this mission. Now, going into the save menu, they make a save and load it, teleporting them to the setup they did earlier on the drive to the mission friend request, allowing them to drive over to the next mission casing the juice store from very close by. They take out this person to activate the police, which prevents a police helicopter in the upcoming mission. They then drive halfway up the stairs and walk the rest of the way to start the mission. Getting into the car, the runner drives over to the mission marker, drifting into it while blocking their door with a tree to be teleported out. They run over to the store, jumping at this pole to avoid being slowed down too early. Entering, they take 1 picture to satisfy the 3 mission objectives. Then, use Michael's power once to avoid some dialogue as they approach the counter. They then run back to the car, drive around the corner, and slide it in next to these boxes, blocking the door and teleporting Michael out. The runner takes this specific route at the top of the roof, taking a picture once they get there. Jumping down from there, they then take out their pistol in order to do a roll, then go to this part of the roof and roll while putting their weapon away or the mission will fail. Getting back into the car, they then take this gap, jump down onto the highway, and this gap to jump onto this small road. They then cut across the river and train tracks, and spam left click and enter while selecting the loud option, thus ending this mission. Getting onto the bike, the runner pulls up the phone to prevent a phone call from coming in, allowing them time to get into position for the next mission. Closing it after 23 seconds, and after an autosave, this text is manipulated to come up, where the runner drives forward to meet the car that has the equipment necessary for the last mission of the run, taking out the occupants, and delaying taking out the driver so they don't have to dispose of them from the driver's seat. Jumping over these 2 small fences, the runner gets out and back into the car at this small bush to prevent the police from noticing them as easily. They drive over to this location under the bridge, spamming right-click to hang up the phone, instantly ending the mission, and immediately taking us into the final mission, the jewel store job. Running to the van, honking and backing up a little to get everyone in the van as quickly as possible, the runner then drives over to the jewel store from the anti-penultimate mission. The runner shoots the cases shown and takes only as many jewels as are necessary to progress before exiting the store. Immediately turning left, the runner gets in front of the crew, driving down the side onto the freeway. The runner aims their weapon at the crew as they make their way to a specific location. This is because if they were not aiming at the crew, the mission would fail. Turning left, they jump down off the freeway following the river to this hole, which triggers the next mission checkpoint before failing on purpose. After pressing retry, the runner simply drives to the yellow dot at the end of the river, drives up this small grass section and to the final mission marker, and the timer ends when the heist pass screen appears. Thank you for watching the Speedrunner's Path. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, you know what to do. Leave a comment on the next game I should cover, and see you next time.